Okay, so I think one challenge that I face is basically the transition between getting things instantaneously and having to wait for things. What do I mean? Let me just share with you an example. Today, as I was going to church, I missed the bus prior to reaching the bus stop. So I didn't have my iPhone with me and I couldn't check what time was the next bus arrival. So this is something that I struggle with between getting information now and slowly waiting for the bus to come. So as I was at the bus stop, I think two thoughts crossed my mind for the 10 minutes or so. The first thought was what time was the bus coming? And the second thought was, am I going to be late for church? And for the next 10 minutes, I sat down, I walked up, I checked the bus, looked at the distance. I think I became very fidgety and it just overwhelmed my thoughts to the point that my surroundings didn't matter at all. I was self-absorbed in my own personal thoughts that I failed to pay attention to what was happening around me. And I think this leads me to my next point, which is one key takeaway. And one key takeaway for me would be to say that in the midst of the fast-paced life that I've been living, I need to constantly remind myself and stop to pause and to check whether am I doing things right now for the now and present, which is instant gratification, or am I doing things such that I am looking ahead to the future, that there is a sense of purpose and meaning in me doing what I'm doing, instead of saying, I want this now and I want it right here, but it doesn't add value to my life or the lives of the people that I interact with. And moving forward, one thing that I hope to also learn is how to be generous. I think I shared with Nicholas, and the thing that struck me very much and very often is how when I visit a one room flat or a two room flat or interact with people who are of the lower income background, they never fail to be generous. They usually give and provide us with a hospitality that even I myself do not provide. And they usually share the best items that they have at the expense of their own personal well-being. And I think I hope to be able to answer this question, how can you be generous with less, in my personal journey. So I hope to have a personal answer to that at the end of 2 months, even as I try to be generous and not just generous, but have sincere generosity. And what do I mean by sincere generosity? I think sincere generosity means that I give you not because I feel that I need to give you, but I give you because at the end of the day, I expect no returns. And I think that is the best type of generosity that I can learn within the 2 months to say, I'm giving you and I do not expect anything in return because it is part of generosity and not to expect a favor or not to expect you to reciprocate. And I think that itself is something that I want to learn and I want to constantly act out and practice. And they always say practice makes perfect, and I think it's going to be hard going out to 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 buy a drink for a stranger or someone in need, despite already me having so little. But I think it's worth a shot and it's worth learning and worth experiencing. So that is all for me this week, and I will see you again next week.
Okay, hi. This is my reflection for week one. Okay, so what I think I've learned this week is the fact that I've learned to be more appreciative of how much effort it really takes to get a product, from your warehouse all the way into your hands, and working as a warehouse packer, I've been unloading containers, carrying loads of different products, and for example, even this small little Nokia phone, it probably came in a box of like 30, 40, 50 even, and it's really, really heavy. And just working as a warehouse packer really unraveled, the process behind obtaining a product, and it really made me um, understand, how much sweat, how much blood even goes into getting the product to you. And so yeah, next time when a product that I want is out of stock, I will think twice before complaining because of the amount of effort that it really took. Yeah, and one personal struggle for myself is definitely food. Yeah, it may sound kind of silly, but ever since the start of this project, you, I, I've been feeling like super super hungry countless of times, and um, yeah, um, like, and I think oftentimes I found myself having to give up what I like to eat. I lost the ability of just being able to just go and buy food, or even when I buy economical rice, I have to really calculate and think, how much will this cost, how much will that cost, and it's the first time lah. Like before this, when I buy economical rice, I just pick what I like, whether three dishes or four dishes, whatever, I just pay. But right now, I have to really think for the household budget on the whole, and think about what my spending decision would mean for Lerwin or even for our household. If I spend too much on lunch, will we have enough for other things? Yeah, but I think above all, I'm still very grateful that I'm able to have three healthy and regular meals. Some people may not have this luxury, but I'm thankful that that we still can eat cooked food and rather than processed food. So I think that's still something to be thankful for. But it's definitely tough. Yeah, but I think it's something that I'll get used to, and it's definitely a big learning experience for me. And lastly, one thing that I hope to do, I hope to really learn from the attitude of generosity that so many individuals have showed me, or I've seen since the start of the project. For example, every day I make it a point to actually talk to the newspaper auntie on the way to work at one of the MRT stations, and um, without fail, every single day she would ask me whether I want a drink. And after talking to her, I found out that from a 90-cent newspaper that she sells, you'll earn about only 10 or 15 cents. And offering me a drink would mean that she's giving me essentially about almost 10 newspapers worth of profit. And it just amazes me that despite not earning much, one can be still so generous and so willingly hospitable. And yeah, I really hope to learn um, to display such a generosity as well, and give back to others around me. Yeah, so that's all for this week's reflections. So yeah,